punching is probably something you've heard of, and that's just flipping with a big weight through some type of heavy cover. It's usually vegetation, but if your lake doesn't have vegetation, you should still have a punching rod rigged up because it could be pine needles blown back into a pocket, some type of trash where still providing isolated shade. Big bass love isolated shade, and lakes that you don't get a whole lot of fishing cover, that's where they're at. And when you don't get a lot of fishing pressure on those types of spots, when you drop that big weight through there, they go berserk. They're not hard to catch. And it's not a hard technique to learn. And again, it can be that way to catch a big fish when you can't any other way. Oh my. Oh, oh my God. Dude. Oh my God. Dude, that's like a freaking 6. That's a tank. Welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all for hanging with me on this Monday. So this is the time of year where you're not really going to find a much more consistent pattern than running shallow and looking for cover. Could be grass, could be wood, but in the early fall, you want something to stop the bass and then to keep them there. And you have all of that with that scenario. So the biggest thing for me this time of year is that they are going to lose their mind, and they're not just going to be on the edge. They're going to push further back. So if you have a lake that has an abundance of cover, could be bushes, could be laydowns, could be stumps or grass, the bass could use any of it. Now, grass lakes, especially, flipping is always going to be a big deal because you can't always get everything you have to those fish. They start hunkering down. Punching is the best way to catch them on grass fisheries in the fall. Now, you could also frog them. That's a whole different story, but I want to talk about my flipping setups because I think it's important to note that the right knot, the right hook, and then a couple different weight sizes because you never really know what's going to happen to your mats. A lot of different scenarios can affect mats. So if you have a lot of wind, that's going to blow your mats tight. You're going to have to go up in weight size. If you have some rain that sometimes melts the mats, you might want to go down in weight size to get as many bites as you should. And then there's other factors like the grass dies at a certain point, especially once you get above Florida, a little further north. Grass will die at a certain time of year. So your grass starts dying, you might have to change your weight size. So whenever I'm punching, it's always 2 different size weights. On Guntersville right now, I have an ounce and then I have an ounce and a half, and it's never what I think. So if I'm like, I'm going to go just put that ounce and a half in my hand all day, I end up flipping the ounce, vice versa. So whenever I'm flipping something light as an ounce, I like to put a punch skirt on it. I just feel like this isn't necessarily always going to be in mats. I'll just pitch this around heavy cover. And there's other baits that you could probably catch some fish on, but this is going to be your most efficient way to target big fish. So heavy cover again. So the ounce with the punch skirt for me, and then I always snell it. Anytime I get up heavier than like a half ounce with a flipping, it's always a snell. So there's your snell. A lot of times the fish just grab the weight, and then you see what happens there. It just pops that hook out. So an ounce and then an ounce and a half. If I only had one, probably that ounce and a half. But what good flippers do is they know what size weight to use. That's part of the skill in flipping. So don't be too close-minded when it comes to this technique. Yes, you can get away with an ounce and a half a lot of the time, but try some other sizes as well. So my hook is a super heavy cover flipping hook by Gamakatsu. Always 65-pound braid anytime I'm flipping less than 5 feet. If I'm a little bit deeper than that, I'll go to 50. But a lot of times it's not necessarily the fall. That thing's going to the bottom super fast. You probably don't want it to go any faster than it's going. So that 65 is not holding it up too much. But that's such a powerful weapon in the fall on all lakes that have a bunch of cover, but especially grass. And if you have wood, your half ounce, your 3/4, downsize your weights a little bit, but not too much. Don't go as light as you do in the springtime. Keep a heavier weight in your hand. If you're fishing a little bit deeper, don't be afraid to use braid around trees. If you're in that 5 foot or around that depth range, if you're shallow, fluorocarbon is going to be the way to go. 25-pound test this time of year, heavy, and flip it into the heavy cover because that's where bass are pushing shad. Shad are trying to get away. They're going further back in there. And this is such a big time technique this time of year. And it fits the whole fall scenario. They want vertical and you want to be targeting big fish. It's not easy to catch big fish this time of year. So you want to have rods in your hand that are targeting big ones. So try that, guys. Good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.